Once upon a time, in the heart of the Sahara, there was a kingdom known as Sah'ra-Maji. Its people were famous for their music, their dance, and their elaborate markets where colorful fabrics rippled in the wind and spices filled the air with rich fragrances. But beyond all this, Sah'ra-Maji was known for its handsome, wise, and daring prince, Prince Jata. The people of Sah'ra-Maji loved their prince with fierce loyalty, for he was no ordinary man. Prince Jata had eyes as sharp as the eagle's, a heart as fierce as a lion's, and above all, a mysterious beauty that captivated all who laid eyes on him. He was the pride of Sah'ra-Maji, known throughout the desert for his kindness and bravery. But despite all his power and charm, Prince Jata bore a curse that no one dared to speak of openly, a curse hidden behind whispers and secretive glances. For it was said that when he was just a child, a strange traveler had come to Sah'ra-Maji's palace. The man was ragged, his face hidden behind a tattered hood, and his voice as deep and cold as the desert's midnight. No one knew who he was, and the guards would not let him pass. But before he left, the traveler pointed toward the palace and uttered words that struck fear in the hearts of those who heard. "The day will come when the desert will claim what it is given," he said. "Beware of the prince who loves with his heart, for he shall lose what he cherishes most." The curse was forgotten in time, its meaning buried beneath years of prosperity. But the elders whispered of it in secret, fearing the day that the curse would awaken. One summer evening, as the sun sank low and the desert sky blazed in colors of amber and red, Prince Jata rode out alone on his camel. He loved these solitary rides where he could escape the weight of his duties and feel the vast emptiness of the desert around him. On this particular evening, something strange happened. He spotted a shimmering oasis he had never seen before, even though he knew the desert like the lines of his hand. Curious, he approached and found a woman there, her skin glowing like copper under the fading sunlight, her eyes as dark as the deepest part of the night. She was beautiful, but there was something otherworldly about her. "My prince," she said without him even introducing himself, "I have waited a long time for you." Her voice was as soft as the wind brushing over sand, yet it sent chills through Jada's heart. "Who are you?" he asked, enchanted yet wary. "I am Layla," she replied with a smile, "a wanderer like yourself." Though he was cautious, Prince Jata found himself drawn to Layla. There was a sorrow in her eyes, an untold story, and he was compelled to understand her mystery. They spoke for hours until the stars lit the sky and the chill of the desert night settled in. Before he left, Layla looked deep into his eyes. "Promise me something, Prince Jata," she whispered. "Promise that you will return to see me." Without fully understanding why, he agreed. Days turned into weeks, and each evening, Jata returned to the hidden oasis to meet Layla. They spoke of dreams and fears, of the burdens they both carried, and each time he left, his heart ached more. He realized in his quiet moments that he had fallen in love. Layla had bewitched his heart with her laughter, her stories, and her silences. Her presence was like water to his spirit, quenching a thirst he hadn't known was there. The people of Sah'ra-Maji noticed a change in their prince. His eyes sparkled. His step was lighter and he smiled more often. The elders grew worried, remembering the curse, but they dared not say a word. One evening, beneath the stars, Jata confessed his love to Layla, taking her hand and gazing into her deep, sorrowful eyes. But instead of joy, Layla's face grew pale. She pulled her hand away, turning her back to him. "I cannot love you, Jata," she whispered, a tear tracing down her cheek. "You must let me go." But he refused, vowing that his love was true, that he would protect her from whatever sorrow haunted her. Layla shook her head, but she did not resist as he pulled her into his arms, and that night they swore their love beneath the stars. The next day, an old woman arrived in Sah'ra-Maji. She was a bent, wrinkled figure, dressed in robes as black as the night, and her eyes gleamed with a strange fire. The townsfolk watched as she hobbled through the marketplace, her staff clinking against the stones. At the palace gates, she demanded to see the prince, saying she bore a message of life and death. Prince Jata, upon hearing of the mysterious visitor, agreed to see her. "Prince of the desert," the woman rasped, her voice like the scratching of sand on stone. "You have tangled yourself in the web of a curse." Jata's heart pounded, but he hid his fear behind a calm expression. "I know of the curse," he said, though he had never understood its meaning. "But I do not fear it," the old woman cackled, her laughter echoing in the silent hall. "You may not fear it now, but beware. The curse shall awaken through the woman you love. She is bound to the desert, and the desert does not give up what is its own." "Layla is mine," Jata replied, his voice firm. "I will protect her." But the old woman only shook her head. "Love her if you will, but know this. For every moment of joy, you will suffer two of sorrow. The desert will take what you cherish most." And with that, the woman vanished as quickly as she had come. As time passed, Prince Jata noticed something strange. Layla began to weaken, her laughter fading, her eyes growing hollow. It was as if the life was draining from her. Desperate to save her, he summoned the kingdom's greatest healers, but none could explain her illness. One night, as Layla lay in his arms, her voice barely a whisper, she told him the truth. "I am bound to the desert, Jata," she said, her tears glistening in the moonlight. "I am not of this world. My heart beats only because of the love I bear for you, but the desert demands me back. If you let me go, I shall fade to dust and the curse will be lifted. But if you hold on to me, the desert will curse you as it has cursed me." Jada's heart broke at her words, yet he could not let her go. His love was too strong, and he clung to her as if she were the last breath he would ever take. Days turned into weeks, and Layla's strength faded further, her body as fragile as dried petals. Prince Jata, seeing her suffering, realized he could not let her endure the curse any longer. He knew he had to release her, even if it meant breaking his own heart. On their final night together, Jata took Layla to the oasis where they had first met. They held each other in silence, surrounded by the gentle murmurs of the desert wind. With a trembling voice, he whispered, "I love you, Layla, and I will love you, even as the sands of time cover my bones." As dawn broke, Layla kissed him softly, her lips cold as the morning air. She stepped back, her figure dissolving into the sands until she was nothing more than a memory. Jata returned to Sah'ra-Maji alone, his heart heavy with loss, but the curse did not leave him unscarred. From that day on, Prince Jata's beauty faded, his face aged, and his once bright eyes grew dim. He ruled with wisdom and kindness, but he was forever haunted by the memory of Layla, the woman of the desert who had stolen his heart. The story of Prince Jata and Layla became legend in Sah'ra-Maji, told by mothers to their children on quiet nights under starlit skies. It became a tale of love and sacrifice, a warning to all who would challenge the will of the desert. And so, the desert kept its secret, and the sands whispered their own story, the story of the cursed prince who loved and lost, forever bound to the memory of a love that could never be.